Grace here, and today we got a video on solving radical equations. These are going to have an equal sign in them. They're also going to have something that is going to be under a radical sign. And let's go. First of all, here's your steps. We are going to isolate the radical onto one side of the equation, typically the left. Then we're going to square both sides of the equation. Squaring anything that is square rooted just cancels it out, and you're left with what's on the inside. We keep doing that. We might have to do that a couple times, and then we solve with whatever remaining equation that we have. We also check our answers into the original equations because some answers might not check out. So, recap. Get what is under the square root sign by itself on the left, square both sides, and then check your answers. A little vocabulary. The radical is that square root symbol, and remember we're talking about everything that is underneath that square root symbol. When we square something, that just means that we take it to the second power. Extraneous solutions, these are solutions that are impossible, you cannot do them, or possibly they just don't equal out. And we will discuss some extraneous solutions as we're walking through. All right, let's begin. First one. Underneath the radical, we have an x plus 2, and that is equal to 5. The rule says square both sides, and then that cancels out, and I'm left with what is inside. 5 squared is 25, and then you basically just have an equation to solve. We do have to check these, and when doing a check, you can either just do it by hand, you can throw it into the calculator, and you're always looking for, does it check out? And if it does check out, then you're good with that answer, and you have your final answer. Okay, let's head to number 2. Underneath the radical, we have 3x plus 4. So our radical is isolated on the left side. Square both sides. Cancels out and drops off. And then we have a two-step equation to solve. And then next we do our check. We take the original x and put it in. If you have fractions in there, I would advise throwing this one into a calculator, and you will find that yes, it checks out. So you're fine, and here is your final answer. Let's head to number 3. Underneath the radical, I have negative 2t plus 4. It is isolated on the left. So I'm ready for the step where I square both sides. My radical drops off. And then I solve a two-step equation. And yes, it checks. So our final answer is t is equal to negative 22.5 or negative 22.5. Next we head to number 4. And in number 4, we do not have what is underneath the radical isolated, which means the radical is not by itself. There's still some things in the problem that need to be moved to the other side. So first I'm going to start by moving my 12. Then I'm going to divide by the 3. Now I am ready to square both sides. Next we check it, and when you check it, you will find out that you are fine, and your answer is x is equal to 5.5. Okay, let's move on to number 5. So a couple things, I am going to add 11 to both sides because I need to isolate my radical. And then I bring down what's underneath the radical, my 3x minus 7. And then over here I have a negative 8. I still have a negative 2 over here. And I'm left with 3x minus 7 underneath the radical is equal to 4. From there, I square both sides, and I'm ready to solve the equation and check it out and see if it fits and see if it all works out. And we have our final answer that x is equal to 7 2/3. Okay, next let's talk about this concept of extraneous solutions. Remember, these are solutions that will not work, are impossible, or either they just don't check out. So if I was going to isolate my radical in number 1, I would subtract 7 from both sides. I would have underneath my radical x minus 5 is equal to negative 3. Well, at this point, I can just stop, because the square root of anything can never be a negative number. So therefore, this is impossible. So the answer here is no solution. Okay, let's look at number 2. I need to isolate my radical. I'm left with radical x plus 4 is equal to negative 5. And here we have the same thing. We stop. Underneath a radical cannot be a negative number. So here again, we have no solution. So it is important to always check your answers and also look for extraneous answers that could be impossible. You cannot get a negative number from a radical. So this concludes our video. Thank you again for watching. You can always contact me at www.tntcenter.com for live online tutoring. And please support us and hit subscribe. Thanks. Bye.